Thank you so much. And it is so nice to like look through the crowd and see all my friends and see all my new friends. And, you know, being an artist can be a lonely gig. Um, Lovely and fun, and, I chose it. But being here and seeing all you in this crowd really fills my heart. So thank you so much. My show is called Cattywampus. It's fun to say. Everyone loves it. It's memorable, but it stemmed from uh, I knew about this show. I was going to have a show for 2 years, and what a privilege to have that. So thank you, Abby and Gundy, for allowing me time to like do that. I mean, it changed 1,000 different times, but it was a luxury. So I really appreciate you providing that opportunity for me. Um, in 2020, remember that? It seems like so far away. I was thinking about it today, and it's like, was that like 10 years ago or was that yesterday? Like, what a bizarre time. So, that in itself is cattywampus, which is a meaning of like askew, different, backwards, upside down. When I look at my work that I've always made, it's kind of that way anyway. So, examples of some of the pieces. Um, these camera obscuras over here, boxes, are simple cameras with a simple lens and ground glass. And if you watch it long enough, maybe a car will go by. But what is happening with these pieces? Oh yeah, dance. Do it. Do the thing. Nice. Very good. Very good. Yes. Oh yeah. It's so much fun. When I got done building these, I just played for days in front of these things. But you know, when the pandemic happened and we were locked down, the outside the window was a scary place, but I was also inside looking outside. I was safe inside, but the world kind of flipped in all kinds of different ways. And so the camera obscura is a great metaphor for that time, for that period. And I think it kind of needed to happen, unfortunately, uh, but it was destined to happen. And so, what is happening inside those boxes, what we see, is happening inside your brain on a technical level. Our eyes have a lens. We also have an iris, a hole that's projected to the back of our eye, but our brain flips it right side. So this is really what's happening. Isn't that fascinating? I could think about that forever, and I do. And so, oh, there's someone on a bike going. Nice. And so, with the camera obscura, um, I also have a pinhole camera truck that many of you have seen around town. It is a 1977 Chevy 14-foot box truck. It looks like a meth lab on wheels. It is, I mean, it is an ugly truck, but it's so pretty. It's yellow, and I, bought it, and it put a hole in the side of it, and then project light through it onto the other side of the truck. And on the other side is a magnetic wall where I put photographic paper, like darkroom black and white paper. So you think in the darkroom, you put a negative into the enlarger and it projects down on this paper and it makes a positive. Well, inside the truck, I have that same paper, but it's projecting the positive of the world. And so what is produced is a negative. And so that's what these are, paper negatives. These prints right here, though, are a smaller, scaled down version of that original piece. The original pieces are 5 foot by 10 foot, and usually use like 84 sheets of 8 by 10 paper. And I put little tiny magnets. That area sprawled is, I always forget the name of that place, Gold. Yes. up on that hill where they said you can't ever build a house. Well, look at what they did. They build houses there. So that stack is right there. And so what is bright is dark, and what is dark is light. That's shadow and light. That's photography. That's life. So next, of course, is the Wienermobile. That's life too. I mean, come on. And so I thought I've had Little Miss Sunshine for 10 years now. And the Wienermobile to me is my crown jewel of the shot that I got. Because it's not just like you're bebopping around town, just taking pictures. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of money and doing that. And so I thought when someone told me that the Wienermobile was in town, parked in a parking lot of a hotel, I went and found out who was driving it, went and asked her if I could come and take pictures. And my ridiculous vehicle was taking a picture of their ridiculous vehicle. And I have to give props to Donovan, my friend. Wave your hand. Oh my gosh. He helps me so much in taking pictures with Little Miss Sunshine. Just the, putting up the photos in there, you know, it's light tight, so it's also kind of airtight, and it's hot. So the quicker you can do it, the better. And really, Donovan, you've really ignited the love of photography back in me just by your love. It's contagious. So whenever you can share your passion with younger people, please do that because it gives back to you too. So the Wienermobile, each one of those squares, those rectangles, is a sheet of photographic paper that's 20 by 24. So it would take up half this wall in here. And it's a one-of-a-kind type of thing. So gotta love that. Another couple pieces over here behind were taken with Little Miss Sunshine also. And then these are digital prints of those because the paper negatives are quite big. They're like 48 by like 60. I made these more manageable for a gallery setting. But what to me is interesting is the Drake coal plant is gone now. I drove by it the other day. I'm like, whoa. I mean, isn't it crazy like when the landscape changes, like something that you're so used to seeing? And now I have a photograph to remember that forever. And so my husband was with me for that. So thank you also, Jeff, for helping me. I got lots of help. I love my friends and my husband. That right there, it was kind of a boring picture, to tell you the truth. So I inverted it and made it positive in Photoshop. And then I also printed a negative version too, and then wove the negative part within the positive part. And so where I shot that is, you know where is it a Walmart, and then there's the Humane Society Animal Rescue League, and then there's I-20, you're looking through I-25, and then that, and so that's part of that. Which reminds me I wanted to share, when I made this work, I just make the work and figure out why I do it later. You know, I think a lot of artists do that. I think it's a good thing to do. And then I thought it all has to do with a road. Like there's some ideas of a road or a path or stairs or a neighborhood or something in there. And so my truck is on the road and doing all these things. And so like it reminds me that even though the pandemic, we were stuck inside, the journey was still kind of happening, but we're always moving. We're always on that path. The stop sign piece was another Little Miss Sunshine piece, and I just think it's kind of funny. Like the stop sign will stay still because inside this truck, it takes like 45 minutes for an exposure because I'm not using a lens. I'm just a pinhole, just a 1mm pinhole. I got beanbag chairs in there and I'm just chilling out. It's really kind of fun. So it's like being inside those camera obscura. If you shrunk down and was inside, that's what it's like being inside that truck. It's a trip. Don't even let me tell you what it's like going down I-25 at 75 miles an hour in the back of that thing. So, if it can go that fast. But so the stop sign, here we have a sign that everyone knows. It's communicating something, but you can't read it properly. And so I printed them both, like positive and negative. I inverted it, and then I wove them together. Which leads me to what other things? Are we good on time and stuff? I talk so long, I just don't know. The weaving right next to it, that was a found photograph a friend gave me. It's called Dine and Dash, and those are real silver gelatin prints from the dark room. And I just think it's funny. Like, I know when a piece is good, whatever that means, if I laugh when I'm making it, like, it tickled me. Like, I still look at that and just like, ha ha ha. Like, there's like a woman's face in the middle of the dinner table. That's funny to me. So, so found photography and found objects is important to me. I like to look at things from like a curious point of view and a questioning point of view. And so these three have like found aspects. So we have a found photograph, like we've seen pictures of this of the class. The woman's in front, and they're the one on display representing the whole class. And it's just a repetition of what society is putting forward. There's corsage pins right there, and I did back it with gold leaf too. So there's like a golden glow behind it. This was pictures of classrooms. I think this was from Colorado Springs. So a lot of these I'm finding at antique stores and stuff here, and people give them to me. But it was funny during the opening because the people were like pointing at them. I thought, oh God, is that one of them? Like, was that them? But they're like, no, no, no. I'm just saying who I think I would be if I was one of these students. I was like, that was really kind of nice. This one definitely was. It's called Codes of Conduct, and it was made. I work at a college in town, and the pandemic was a very different for a lot of people in the academic society, I think, or you kind of had to work, but then it was such a struggle. A lot of people in the crowd, my colleagues, can agree with that. But I felt like, why? It was a time where people were needing to take a break. I kind of remember before being like, everything's so ramped up. And then like this pause, this breath, this break came, but we still had to just like keep at it, keep at the grind. I just don't get it. Like, was not doing a lot of good. Like, if you were teaching on Zoom and your students were like in a blanket on their bed in their pajamas, like, that was not good. But we still had to do it. So I saved all the UPC codes from things that were delivered to my house because I wasn't going to the grocery store. So everything that was delivered, I kept all the UPC codes to keep it as the background to kind of reflect how students were a commodity also at that time, the choices that we made there. And the picket fence, if anyone knows me, they know I'm obsessed with picket fences. And so that to me is a signifier of home. Behind you are more picket fences. That one and then the one next to it are 3D anaglyph images. And so please, before you go, put the glasses on. Feel free to take your glasses home. Because if you look at my website, I have work that I've done with all 3D, and then you'll see it on your computer just the same. It's a real trip. Yeah, this piece, the fence studies happened probably, remember that day, the 2 days when it was like 100 degrees here? It was like, maybe like 12 days before I was supposed to turn in the images for the show. But I thought, I have to do this. I have to do it. And so went around and shot pictures with my friend Carol of these fences. And once you start looking for picket fences, they are everywhere. Like, you'll leave tonight and be like, there's one, there's one, there's one. And they have such personality. And it just slays me how, why you choose to have a picket fence and what you choose to have behind it because of the symbolic nature of the perfect American life, of the colonialism of the picket fence. You know, they're white, I found out, because um, when there was no lights and stuff like that, electricity, they were white so you could find your way home, when you can know where your home was. It was bright, you know, so that's why I personally paint mine silver. I think that'd be fun. But so if you wear the 3D glasses, you'll see that I made choices as to what I'm sticking in front of your face, what I'm making it pop out, what I want you to see. Sometimes as an artist, it's very hard. I feel like I use a lot of symbolism, and I don't know why sometimes, but I feel like I need to say what I'm, or show what I'm wanting you to see. And so 3D anaglyph is the way to do it. And so that was a fun project. And then my friend Carol, for her, well, what was, I think it was her 62nd birthday. We were in the pandemic and she wanted a birthday photo of herself. And I said, what do you want to do? And she lives somewhere where there's a lot of deer and stuff that come in her area on the mountainside. But everyone drives like a bat out of hell up and down her street. So she bought that sign that says, slow your bleep down. And she has it by her house. And so I had her put on this outfit and the curlers. And she said, I'm going to pretend I have a speed gun and it'll slow people down. That was one of the fun, talk about laughing with your art. That was one of the funniest. It worked. It worked. Her neighbors were looking at her like, we thought you were crazy, but now we know you are. But she didn't care. It was fun. But yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. I'd like questions, you know, like to me as a artist, I think questions are where I can really think about what I haven't been thinking about. So please ask. If you have any, please ask. What you thinking? Yeah. Oh, the ironing board. Yeah. I skipped over it because I'm like, I just feel like I talk so long. But this is part of the found photography or found objects. The same with this one also. But these trophies I found in the dumpster at Colorado College when they redid what's that called, the fitness center or something like that. They threw away all their like second and third place trophies. So in the dumpster taking, these are just the people running. Yeah, these are just people running. I have mounds and mounds of trophies. And so on this side, I have the women or female figures, running towards the male figures or running at each other. They're going to collide. They're in a collision course. On the velvet, I embossed run Jane, run Jane, run Dick, run Dick. And so it alludes to, we were taught that there's a Dick and a Jane, you know, and they have to be running at each other or they're doing something. It just, there's this like repetition of what's happening that, you know, like maybe that needs to get a little upside down and backwards. That Wienermobile, oh my gosh. When Donovan and I shot that, we talk about it to this day of like everything happened perfectly. Like, you know, a lot of time when you're driving a, you know, old truck around and trying to maneuver it to get the shot, like the parking spot was perfect. The light was perfect. The timing was perfect. The exposures were perfect. The pancakes at IHOP were perfect afterwards. You know, so to me, this is like you get to a point where you're an expert at something and it's supposed to like flow on that buzzy level of like, you got it, you get it, you're making art type of thing. So in person, it's like huge, of course. But well, since it's a pinhole, there's no lens, so it's just, yeah, the hole itself. Because when I measured the focal length, which is the one side of the truck to the other side of the truck, it's like 65 inches. And there's a website called Mr. Pinhole Wizard or something like that. So you can type in the focal length and it will say the perfect diameter for the sharpest picture. And it was 1 millimeter. It's kind of, it's like that can take forever to have to do it manually. Oh, yeah. Not bad, a little bit more, yeah. And when you work on a smaller scale, it's hard. But like a 1 millimeter drill bit, you bet I could do that. It was easy. And I just, to make the exposure go, I have a piece of black tape on it, and then when I take it off, that's exposing. It's as simple, as can be. 45 minutes usually. That's, yeah, and that's happened once. I'm like, dude, you're screwing up my shot. But I'm inside and they can't hear. And I thought, if I'm screaming, like, they probably thought I'm like stuck, like held captive. But that's actually what happened here, which we were in there watching and just chatting away, Donovan. We didn't know until we processed the paper. You see this car, it looks like a ghost. It's see-through. They came and parked. And I mean, I wouldn't choose a day that was overcast or anything. It's, it's a summer toy, but it's too hot, so it's really like a late fall toy. Yeah, you pick a day when it's a bright, sunny day. When it was super, super bright in the middle of July, I did one at Garden of the Gods once, and that took 12 minutes. That was super fast, but it was hot. It was clothing optional inside that one. I was by myself, though. I was by myself. It was hot. Exactly. So the hole would be like right here, and I have a beanbag chair like this. I'm just down there. And you can't move. You can't have wind, because it'll blurry it up. But it's really fascinating. On my website, on my splash page, there's a video of Little Miss Sunshine. And so it shows you what it looks like inside. And, since it's darkroom paper, when you think of a darkroom, what do you think of? That red safe light, right? So since it's darkroom paper, I can have a red safe light on my head. And my dome lights, if you open the car door, I have it red too. So just in case, because it's like $150 every time I take a shot. So, thanks. It is a great experience. So I do recommend getting a pinhole camera truck. But yeah. Well, I'm so glad you asked that, because that was a big question, because I could go forever, because there's a bazillion picket fence. So then you got to start kind of critiquing people's picket fences and all this. And so I counted how many places I've lived, and I've lived 12 different places. And so that's why I chose 12 picket fences to do. I've never lived with a picket fence. I was raised in Iowa, and it's just, you would never have a picket fence in Iowa because you have to mow every other day, and it would be a pain in the ass to mow around a picket fence. But I grew up with different barriers, like cornfields. Like, I feel like the picket fence is a barrier, but also it's see-through. You can, put a cup of sugar to your neighbor over it. You can be close, but not too close to people with the picket fence. But it says, don't come in, but it's small enough you can come in, So I like that contradiction. To me, that is cattywampus. That's weird. It's crazy. And what defines a home? Like, there's an image in there that has a person or a truck with a camper. Like, what is home? And if you put a fence around it, does that mean it's a home? So why would you put a fence around your home? So I think we have, as artists, we ask ourselves questions. We have to continuously ask questions and never really have an answer to. So the one person that knew that I was doing this is the purple fence with the hearts. I turned to the corner. It was kind of interesting because the the do not enter, beware of dog, the very scary one was right around the corner of this one. And I pulled up and I saw him building that fence. And I slammed my brakes on and I grabbed my camera and I said, I'm a lucky woman. And he's like, what? And I'm like, so I told him what I was doing and he's like, yeah, you can take a picture. And he goes, well, you should see my old fence. It's in the backyard. I'm like, sure. So I go in the backyard and talking to him and his wife and everything. That's part of what photography can do. It's approachable, like people, you can get into people's lives a way that's kind of nice too. So I printed an image and sent that to him with some glasses too, just in case, because who knows? Some people don't, go and stuff. So he knows. But the one that's the third one from the top, the kind of fairy tale looking one, at the opening, everybody knew where that house was. Yeah, everyone knows where that house is in town. That was a very, very, very difficult one to do. So, and then the mailbox piece, that was, it's, how sometimes you make something and it kind of comes back around. I think it's kind of important right now since this was it 2020 and there was a presidential election happening. And remember, everyone was doing mail-in votes, mail-in ballots. And to us in Colorado, it doesn't really matter. We do that all the time. But there were places that weren't. And so during that election, it was 43% of the people voted mail-in ballots, which was actually twice as much as many people voted the last election, which speaks volumes. So why aren't we just doing more mail-in ballots, making life easier? So to me, the mailbox was a vessel of power, a way to feel empowered in a time when we weren't feeling empowered. I was scared, I know a lot of people, everyone has different feelings about it, but I was scared. And so to be able to put something in the mailbox and feel like I'm going to make a difference was very important to me. Inside it is a camera obscura, and so this is the lens. I 3D printed this symbol of home, this window, because we were all looking out our windows. So if you look in, you'll see everything upside down. If someone stands about right here, it's the sweet spot. I did an embossment of a flag in velvet there. The trophy, I sawed off they had a garland in it, so I sawed it off so it looked like hands up, don't shoot. The slogan that we heard during all the protests that were going on. There's eagles here towards each north, south, east, west direction. And then inside is, if you ever get a chance to come up and look, is a little nest from where I grew up. My mom races miniature horses, and there's a velvet lined box and a little tiny nest to give a nod to my home and my sense of home. Thanks for asking about it. Thank you. Thanks.